Sacramento. Family's down in St. Augustine, Florida. We help people defer capital gains taxes using something called a deferred sales trust as our main focus, but more so we try to help individuals and families look at different options to see what's the best fit for them beyond just like the 1031 exchange. As a background, I grew up, building houses with my parents here, mostly in the Bay Area, and then studied and practiced multifamily brokerage at a place called Marcus & Millichap. Did a lot of 1031s before the '08 crash, and then basically said, hey, maybe there's a little bit better way to do this, and that's when we focus like a laser on the deferred sales trust.
Perfect. Peggy? No, it sounds like it. Congratulations on the growth. Why don't we do this? Noah, how about yourself? What's something? Okay. How about for yourself?
Sure, yeah. So there's a quote by Ray Dalio, I think it says, pain plus reflection equals progress. And I think it's just so important to listen to the challenges of the people that we're serving. During the 2008 crash, before that, a lot of people said, hey, I'm overpaying for properties. I feel like this 1031 exchange is not the best use of buying the deals that I want to buy, but I feel kind of trapped by this. And we thought at Marcus & Millichap that was the way to help people, was just do the 1031 exchange. And then it wasn't when people had too much debt, not enough liquidity or diversification. And so listening and seeing and sensing that pain and seeing the turmoil. I was in Sacramento, is one of the biggest boom bust cities, I think, in the country. In fact, I think Lincoln at the time was the fastest growing city in America in 2006. And so I just saw the pain, and we reflected and had an opportunity to meet somebody who had a special solution that was beyond the 1031 exchange. And being in commercial real estate my whole life, it was kind of like an old dog, new tricks. It was tough. And so just being willing to learn something that was new and a little bit different, but provided a direct solution to the problem, which is timing. And we're seeing that even right now with investments, that interest rates are typically higher than the cap rates, right? And maybe sellers will come around at a certain point. But in the meantime, what do we need? We need an opportunity to have powder dry, tax deferred, diversified, liquid, and ready to pounce on opportunities. And so understanding the key problem and then providing a key solution to that and being that guide along the way is going to make all the difference. And so we just focus like a laser on that every single day, and then partnering with those who've already proven a track record. I think Jacob said it well in a couple panels ago, finding the best multifamily and mobile home park, self-storage operators. That happens to be more our focus and our love, right? But also our clients have their own niches of business that they can go into. So having that flexibility with the vehicle that can do that, and you put those things together, then it just tends to work.
And for others that have that same laser focus as you, do you differentiate yourself by trying to build those relationships first and just nurse those, or what do you do?
That's a great question. So we have the podcast, the YouTube channel. We bring on amazing people like Richard who are best in class at what they do, and then we partner with those that do. And our niche is the deferred sales trust. So my company is Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and so we do have a deep understanding of 1031 exchanges, Delaware statutory trust, donor advised funds. But we're not going to be doing those. We're going to put those to the best. So we're going to bring in the best, and we're going to be the best in our niche space, and then we're going to strategically align of those others who are doing those niches.
Okay, perfect. And Peggy, how about yourself?
You should come on our show.
I'd love to.
Okay, good. So strategy is super important. Everything.
I love it. And I think a few of you talked about doing a show together. I know you talked about your radio program. What's the number one way to, educate people about your space or the investment opportunity or this growth? So is there a certain channel that you use? Is there a certain audience that you go for whether it's someone who's providing network solutions or doing this diversified real estate project or on the tax side? What's sort of your focus of trying to educate those in the space? And Peggy, why don't we start with you?
Okay, so we have a show.
Noah, how about yourself?
I mean, I think with any business, warm leads.
Okay, and Brett?
All of those things, plus I think kind of Richard said it well too, influence influencers, right? So a strategy called the Dream 100. So who are the top 100 people, if you had a chance to show your service or the value that you could bring, that would be the big domino that their list of the people they influence would come and be receptive to what you provide. So make a list of the top 100, if it's commercial real estate brokers, if it's M&A advisors, if it's estate planning attorneys, CPAs, whatever that particular person is. Go out and serve them and help them build their business, make it easier, send them referrals in a way that's going to be mutually beneficial, and that really helps. And then, of course, have the podcast. If you haven't had one yet, I encourage you to get that going. YouTube channel, start recording content. When I first got on a video, I wasn't excited about getting on video, but I did it anyways. And fast forward, we have a best-selling book now, and we've had a chance to get Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book with us, and that's helped as well to kind of implement that Dream 100 strategy. So and then hire a full-time video editor, podcast editor, So you're not doing that stuff. You're doing other things. You're creating content, but they're the ones that are organizing it and putting it out to all the different channels.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I guess something too is also knowing who you're trying to reach and then how they want to digest that information and educational things. So if they're only into podcasts, if they're into YouTube, that's great. You know, they probably might not be making TikTok videos, or maybe they are if that's your audience. So make sure like what you're delivering is something that they're looking for, or make sure that's part of like a thought through process of the funnel and pipeline that you're trying to build. But how about for yourself? Are there any questions out in the audience before we go to my next one? If not, we can continue, but just want to make sure we get them. And same thing, if you're on Whova or if you're doing our live stream, if you have a question, make sure you guys can write it in and we can see those too. But why don't we do this? I guess same thing as well. Why don't you talk about region-wise though? So exponential growth, is there any kind of comparisons that you're finding between the different regions as you're expanding into those different areas? Or anything that you're seeing that way for anyone here that might be looking to get into different regions, or perhaps are talking to investors in different spaces?
Absolutely. I mean,
that makes sense. And is everyone here, where are your regions? Are they mostly focused here in the US? Yeah.
Yes.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. Why don't we do this? What's a $100,000 investment or just sort of insight that you'd be able to offer to someone who's looking to either grow their business with that same exponential growth that you're seeing within your own or within your own market? Or what's something that you'd be able to find that might be able to help leapfrog them up to that next level of business operations on what they're doing? It could be a practice in your own industry, it could be something specific, or something more general that could be open. Peggy?
Well, real estate is too dangerous. Our job is to protect the investor.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. Brett, how about yourself?
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be speaking on this a little bit more, but what does $84 trillion mean to you, America, and investors? And so if you're in the business of raising capital, you really got to understand where the capital is coming from. A couple people have touched on it. The largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet is happening now in the next 18 or so years. Estimated 84 trillion, different numbers on that, but Marcus Millichap, John Chang talked about that. And so understanding where the capital is coming from is so important. And then the question is, what's the bridge to help the capital to flow into your deal, your opportunity? And that's where we focus like a laser on what's called tax flow, not just cash flow. And the tax flow has to do with the capital gains tax. Somewhere between 25 and 50% of the proceeds are going to be wiped out with depreciation recapture, depending on what state you're in, and what kind of asset you own. So understanding just that nuance, that it's death and taxes are so crucial. And if you can be a part of helping to solve that, that's going to be a big way to propel your business because you're offering more value, more solutions to just for people who are exiting highly appreciated assets. And that's primary homes, that's cryptocurrency. That's a great example. We helped a couple of crypto people exit a few years before the crash. And so understanding that this is a big pain point they went through, reflecting on what happened and saying, how do I be in front of the curve if it does come back for people who want to be in real estate? Understand that a lot of people who are in crypto actually want to be in real estate, right? So understand those connections and understand how to bridge that gap and be that resource for people can help you to raise more capital, invest in more deals, and hopefully grow your business.
That makes sense. No?
Yeah, I mean,
Not yet. Yeah, I can see some heads. Let's see. Okay, no questions yet. That's okay. All right, so for this next one, why don't we actually talk about specific examples that are particular to yourselves? I know that we're coming out of COVID. We're now doing these live events. I know that you've talked about what you did during COVID, and now we're sort of in this hybrid model. And I know for some of it is how do you actually, I guess, plan, mitigate, try to actually like de-risk that where the exponential growth is going to be coming from, whether it's on the real estate side of things, if it's on that actual transition of wealth. How are you actually trying to navigate that to get ahead of the curve in those particular areas in your niche? So maybe it's just from doing those interviews and talking to other experts in that space. Is it something that you're doing on other market research outside of what's available to everyone else? What are you trying to actually do in your particular space to actually identify not just where the exponential growth has been, but then also where is it going? Because other people are going to start catching up to you. So how do you get to that next one? Like, what are you guys looking at as that next step? Does that make sense? So why don't we start, I guess, yeah, let's go on the transfer of wealth side.
Yeah, sure. So it sounds like how do you get the edge to find out investments that make sense and that are going to be, I guess, winners? Maybe that's a good way to summarize that. I think it goes back to finding those who have the extensive track record of performance and best in class in their niche focus. And for me, well, I work with wealth advisors that are amazing at what they do, certified financial planners. that are amazing at what they do. And then I also work with best-in-class commercial real estate operators and developers, right? In mobile home parks and multifamily and self-storage and industrial. I also personally invest into these deals and underwrite deals and have that extensive background, so that helps me to understand the language of that. And when I don't have that particular language, I'm bringing in that expert in that. And so on the tax side, we work with a CPA and tax region with my business partner, and he's incredible at what he does. And I think it's just spending like those 10,000 hours and over many years, going back since 2009, and just absorbing and learning from someone who's way far ahead as a CPA and a tax attorney. That's how I've absorbed that, and I fell in love with what it could do. I think connecting that, falling in love with what it could do for those that you're serving, you feel called to serve, with your unique gift and skill set, and then continuing to maximize the impact for as many people as you can. That, I think that aids into everything you're doing here.
For sure, and I think that's something that will set you apart as well, because once again, someone might have the exact same type of deal, but if they actually don't trust you, if you don't get along with them, or if they don't actually get past that first gate on that introduction, it's not going to matter, and they're going to see through whether you don't have passion, whether you don't believe in it, and that stuff comes across as sort of a unspoken skill that some people don't have, or maybe they don't have the passion or can't show it, so that's good that you can. Peggy, how about yourself? Bigger than what they're thinking right now, but would you give any advice or any recommendations for what you're seeing? Because you might have a different perspective than
Well, I like to work with Bridget. She's got some great connections, and we'd be thrilled to teach them about investing, because that's what we do. If we like the deal, we'll invest ourselves, but it's got to be a really good deal. Or as I tell all of our clients, if it's not good enough for me.
what's something that you actually look for to try to get that that way?
Yeah, I mean, we try to get as much market data that's out there for each region that we're in, just every different aspect, commercial real estate, land, residential real estate. So really just try to get the best data sources and study that and make.
And as I said before, I mean, we never even thought we were going to be in AI. We happen to be in AI, doing a good job, continue to do so.
I love that. Well, let's give our panel number 4 a big round of applause. Thank you so much.